Cassie probed at their location in frustration. Nothing had been going right since they were first brought here a few days before. Steve and she had been pulled from their car on the way home from the movies. She had ignored the summons from her father and mother for too long, and now she and her husband were paying the price. Or at least, that was what she thought had occurred. No one would tell her what had happened, or why they had suddenly been brought back to the home of the gods. All she could do was hope that nothing was wrong on Earth, and that her children were all right in the meantime. Time passed differently here than it did everywhere else. Each day that passed here was equal to a month in that particular dimension compared to the others of the universe, though even that had been known to change at times. Each dimension operated under slightly different principles from the rest. From the limited amount of information she had been able to gather, their appearance had been a surprise to everyone, her husband's especially so. The sight of her once controlling father seeing her mortal, human husband had brought her no small amount of pleasure. Even the high gods, or true gods, call them what you will, have their problems. Which made their sudden appearance in the realm all the more curious to her. At least, he hadn't been there. D'Artagnan had been a childhood friend of sorts, who always wanted something more intimate. In the end, his constant advances had ruined their friendship, destroying it for good and sending her fleeing to explore the universe they had been born into. Like she had been trying to explain to Steve, just because the high gods have the power to create worlds, dimensions, and even universes when they were older, didn't mean they were perfect. In many ways, they were no different from humans, and had the same problems. They just lived longer, had far more power, and when they fought, it could wipe out solar systems on the low end. Entire galaxies had been known to vanish over relatively minor skirmishes. High gods tried not to fight in their normal forms anymore. Most preferred avatars, champions, or some other method that sealed their power. They believed it kept things fresh and interesting in a life that could drag on for eternity. Thankfully, Cassie was still young, relatively speaking, and her power was yet undeveloped, as they measured things.
Chan.
I'm called Cassie, or Cassandra, if you prefer now, Father. Cassie interrupted him with a glare. She had never liked her birth name, and he knew it. Beside him, her mother smirked and gave her a quick wink. He growled and thumped his hand on the table, sending a portion of it crumbling to the ground.
Is that really how you want to start this?
I don't know. Is it? We're the ones who were kept locked up for days in this place. Come, dear, it was hardly prison. You were allowed to go out and about and do nearly anything you wanted. Her mother interjected kindly. Yes, anything but talk to people or find out what is going on with our kids. You even did something to my seal. No matter what I try, I can't remove it and find out for myself. Cassie yelled, with a vigor that ignored her mid-40s outward appearance. Beside her, Steve was quietly eating the dinner that had been laid out before them. He had always been the calmer of the two of them, even though he had freaked out in the beginning. After figuring out nothing could be done about the situation, he quickly went back to normal. Having his beloved wife had helped a lot in that regard. There wasn't anything he could do about his kids, but at least he was with his wife.